very much for inviting Think Tank to be a part of the Transform Festival. The reason why it's so close to us is because when we were in Grenoble, this festival planning session was still going on 2 years ago. So we were a part of the planning of this festival even before Transpo was actually, coming to a full shape. So that's why we're very happy to be a part of this festival as well. The reason why I got into this festival to present Think Tank is to share my journey as an entrepreneur, as a startup entrepreneur in Taiwan. So that if you have any questions in with respect to like how life is and how things can go on, it could actually give a good idea about things. So can you see my next screen, the white background?
I can see it. Alexandrine?
Yes, I can see it too. And actually it works on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. Perfect. So basically, Think Tank was founded in 2015 with an idea to create an affordable smart city for governments, also pretty much accessible for publics and businesses to use the system that we developed, but predominantly actionable for the society. So what it means is we did not go on the objective of creating a whole IoT network to make a smart city, but instead we thought people are the ones who make the smart city. So instead of going on an IoT wave, let's go on an Internet of People's way where we can actually understand the real needs of people in the smart city. So when we went around this, we looked at many ways to understand the city dynamics. And then again, with the advent of social media and digital tools, it was really, really hard to find what is needed today, tomorrow by the citizens because everything changes so fast. So we found out that if we can track emotions of the citizens across the city, then it's possibly easier to understand the city better and derive new applications for the city, which will make it a smart city. Now, the way we tried to do it was also, very low cost, highly deployable, and high success rate. So the nutshell, as you could see, is we wanted to make sure that the information that you want to take from the users is done on their choice, which means from a privacy perspective, we never pushed people to share information as to who they are, but we only try to push the businesses to ask the users as to what they want from the business or from the city. So to get this information, we have worked with many partners like Taipei City, also Taipei Performing Arts Center, which has a lot of cultural activities across Taipei, Taoyuan Metro, which is the sister city of Grenoble as well. So they're on an airport line from Taoyuan to Taipei. We work with them. We also worked with Carrefour, the supermarket giant, which is second in Taiwan right now and only in Asia, and many other organizations. So the idea was very, very simple, and keep it straightforward and try to get it as fast as possible. So the idea was to collect information about the business location and then try to find out what the problem was and then try to mitigate that problem using other solutions. It could be a change in organization, it could be change in reporting, or change in the way the organization would work, or deploying a new IoT system per se. So we have had a considerable interest in our solution. Again, as Pascal said, Taiwan is very much stretched from north to south. So we had good participation from non-governmental, governmental, and private businesses when we did all our applications. The one which is closest to you is when we were in Grenoble, we were in contact with GEM, and then we presented our solution to see how we can use this as a smart campus solution in order to understand how GEM is operating. Then we also found out that it could be used as a aid for teachers to see how they're performing while they're actually delivering the course. But also at the same time, we also use the tool to show the power of feedback for the future uh, graduate from GEM. So it was a tool which was used in a way to not only collect feedback for GEM, but also for the management and also for the students and the teachers. So we ran the experiment for a year. We had 4 students working along with us. So we were in Taiwan and they were in France. So we managed to understand the hurdles in getting this working. We also managed to get this deployed in the Lyon campus and also in the Paris campus. The good feedback on this one was like when we did this, Europe in particular or in France in particular, did not have much inkling as to using QR code. So then the feedback from the students from the GEM was that we should be using RFID or NFC, something like that, which is more nearer to the way things works in France. But funnily, when COVID struck, the very next month, the same students who worked on this particular project came back and told that most of the COVID check-ins in Europe and France, where you have to register your details if you have visited that particular business, is now happening in exactly the same process that we tested in Grenoble. So that was a very good feedback to know that we were ahead of time, 2 years. But again, it's still good to know that things can be done in a neat, seamless way. The other way we could make things better is from the information that we receive from all the pilots. So the pilot program that we actually ran in GEM gave us a very good insight on people's behavior and how would people react if you ask them to use their phone. So in Singapore, we did something different where we embedded our application into a tablet and then we presented the tablet itself at multiple locations in shopping malls to find out how would people feel when they go across the shopping mall. The reason why we did this is to understand the business, which is the shopping mall itself, but also the tenants who actually rent space in the shopping mall and vice versa. So this way, it was much easier. The barrier of using the application was lower, which means we were able to collect information much easier than before. And then we were able to pinpoint a lot of problems in this particular scenario. Now, if you look at, if you take a step back, we are a pure Taiwanese company. We did our research in France, and then we deployed our solution in Singapore. So, what really impresses me today is the globalization for entrepreneurs. So it really doesn't matter where we are. I think there are no borders as we stand. And this is something which is very resonating when it comes to working with French tech and other ecosystems. So as we were working with the shopping malls, everything was going fine till COVID came. Now, COVID then pushed us to innovate in a different way. So if you look at the top part of the solution is where we were operating at the customer satisfaction level. Now, COVID pushes people to think twice before they leave home and they go to the shopping mall. So what we came up is with an idea called Cleanliness Index, which resonates how neat and clean the shopping mall is for people to go without fear. That's one of the idea that we presented. It also got implemented in one of the temporary COVID hospitals in Singapore, where the patients were able to communicate using Clapio to reduce fatigue for the doctors and the nurses, so that targeted treatment was given to COVID patients. So we replicated the same infrastructure to the shopping malls as well. And today we have deployed the Cleanliness Index, which in turn increases the customer satisfaction with the businesses in shopping mall, at least like 14 to 16 shopping malls right now in Singapore. The reason why we were able to do all of these innovations was also because of the availability of open data in Taiwan. Now, the reason why even ThinkTank as a company we opened in Taiwan was because of this particular ranking which Taiwan has with respect to open data. Now, if you look at France, it is in position 4 this year, but Taiwan has been maintaining the open data ranking for last 4 years right now. What this means to an organization like ThinkTank is that if you want to innovate something, the barriers to innovate is very low with respect to the software level and also the digital level. As you can see, the availability of open data is pretty much green, which means if we have to do anything, we can do pretty much straight away with very least restrictions. One of the very good examples I could give you is the location dataset, which was set free in 2012 in Taiwan. But when we came across a problem with Taoyuan Metro in smart city applications, we found out that they had problems with congestion within the metro network, where people were stopping at the message boards looking for directions. So what we did was we looked at the location data, and then we created another application called Exit, which was then sponsored by Taoyuan Metro for nearly 3 to 4 years. And they were also very helpful in integrating their solution within their infrastructure. Year one, we were able to put all the stickers inside all the carriages and the station platforms, toilets, and etc. So as a value proposal for the users, whoever scanned the QR code and then used the application and typed in wherever they wanted to go, they had a better information compared to Google, because Google only tells you which is the near exit 2 years after we innovated this application, but they still don't give any of these extra facilities application, which is more important for people to make decisions when they're going out of the train. So this is how we managed to use the open data made available by Taiwan, connected that with the corporate, with the data knowledge as a startup we have, and then make sure that the users, which is the citizens of the city, were able to go seamlessly across the city. But at the same time, when we speak about Internet of People, businesses are also made up of people, and they are the ones who are actually running the business in order to give you a seamless experience. So in year two, we worked with Taoyuan Metro to understand multiple ways we can use the tool to increase the efficiency across their network. Taiwan in particular is not only good at the data bit, but also in the assimilating data, manipulating data, transmitting data, storage data, and processing data as well. And this is where I think the opportunities for software, data, and AI is very prevalent in Taiwan. So the four sectors that we have pinpointed across around IoT in the slide gives a very good understanding as to you, where you are today and where you want to be. So if you are a French entity, you could be in the device manufacturing space. Then, as you could see with Taoyuan Metro, you can actually work with enterprises in Taiwan in order to deploy your solutions and then test and continue to make the solutions better. But again, if you're on the application developers like the way we are, you can still develop applications based on your technical know-how, but also the data available or made available by Taiwan and then work with service providers and enterprises and device manufacturers moving on. The integration of service providers is also a very, very key point, especially for ThinkTank in Taiwan, is because we are working with Sigfox, which is one of the telecom service providers for IoT from France. So, which means even though we are a Taiwanese company, we work with a French IoT data partner for our applications to work moving forward. So, as Taiwan, the advantage which Pascal informed with the clusters and the ecosystem and the support from the ecosystems is that it's very easy for you to come up with an idea and also create a prototype, test it, deploy it, go through the iterations of making it better, and then you can move across. So I think the two examples which I gave you before was very clear that a very good application has no boundaries. So that's why like we were able to deploy that, make sure that it works for Taiwan. Then we went to France to see if the same thing can be fit in Europe and then in Singapore. So from an opportunities perspective, sky is the limit, and the support systems is very important as well. Now, ThinkTank was introduced to France from Orange because Orange Fab happens to be in Taiwan as well. So we were introduced with the ecosystems in Japan, Korea, and France. And hence, what we are is today because of going through the process of Orange Fab incubation. And also, we were YEI winners for 2018 and 19, which kind of gave us an extra view of what is possible between France and Taiwan. If you're into banking and if you're into to technology, again, as I said, we work with La French Tech in France and also with BNP Paribas Cardiff in Taiwan to demonstrate how you can fit yourself into the ecosystem. Now, when people speak of startups, they expect startups to do everything end to end. I mean, if you're a B2C startup, now you don't have to be a B2B startup. You can be a B2C startup, and you can use the Lego blocks which is being displayed here to make yourself fit into the organization. We also work with La French Tech in Taiwan on Open Innovation Program, which means we help the corporates from France to work with startups in Taiwan. So sometimes the idea is that they ask us to see what's actually happening in the space of robotics, makerspace, and prototyping as corporates. So we connect the ecosystem from there and also the startups who are working in this particular space to commercialize their ideas through the corporate partners. And when that happens, we would conduct a demo day. We would qualify the startups and then present it across with the local sports tech accelerators in order to win ecosystem support and also community support to go live in Taiwan and beyond. The same thing happens with respect to understanding what fintech startups can do in Taiwan. So we mix the startups with corporates and also the Financial Supervisory Commission of Taiwan to liberate the regulatory framework in a positive way by following all the rules and regulations, which keeps us all our money safe. ST Micro also has a very, very good presence in Taiwan. And as Taiwan is a hub for semiconductors, it only makes sense to demonstrate what semiconductors can do with ST and how application developers in Taiwan can do with ST and then go beyond. So this year, we also had a hands-on workshop where we were able to do AI on the chip to do a lot of things like gesture recognition and voice recognition and beyond. So this helped a lot in understanding the French manufacturers working in Taiwan and Taiwan ecosystem and vice versa, which is startups working with the French corporates. So as I said, Taiwan is available. It is having the right people for you guys to come and start your own businesses in Taiwan. We are here. We are here from FAISE.tech to help you in connecting with the experts in Taiwan, and also connecting you with the government, and also a dedicated team in order to expand yourselves in Taiwan. So that kind of concludes my presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask questions.